Now we're going to do preparation of the front struts and camber plates for installation. The first thing, when you get them, this is a used street camber plate from Ground Control, but that's okay. We've smoothed it up a little bit and cleaned it up, which you won't have to do. First thing you do is to pull out the rubber bushings, as so. Press down on the bottom rubber bushing. Do not be worried about the order of the two. As you see, they are identical items. And just lay them out on a paper towel. And once again, using our chain wax or some other liquid to solid setup wax, spray the areas of contact with the bushing to prevent squeaks and maximize performance. That would be the inside of the housing where the bushing will sit. The inside and outside of the metal bushing. The inside and outside of the urethane, or plastic if you will, rubber bushings. And allow that to set up for approximately 5 minutes. Okay, prior to assembling, just give a little spritz to the top of the bearing or bushing surface, and simply slide one such that the castellated portion, this little raised portion, is facing up. Then take the camber plate and place it firmly over the metal insert bushing and the urethane bushing. Finally, insert the urethane bushing with the castellated portion facing down. What you want are the two castellated portions to be sitting inside the camber plate as such. Press it in by hand. It's a little bit tight because you're getting air out and all that, and that's okay. And then give a minor spritz to the top portion of the bushing. Swirl around and allow it to set. Okay, you'll notice on the front strut that the ride height adjuster and the spring perch are located on the strut body as opposed to the rear where they're separate on the e46 and e46 M3. As you did with the rear, remove the locking socket head bolt from the spring perch and dress it with anti-seize. Remember, the socket head bolts are made of steel with a cadmium coating, and the spring perch, of course, is actually anodized aluminum. And we want to try to prevent galvanic corrosion and also make it easier for you to loosen and adjust these at a later date, which dressing the thread will facilitate. After that's accomplished, insert your spring, and I like to put the springs right side up, if you will, so that when they're sitting there, if one needs to at a later date, not familiar with the auto, ascertain what the spring rate is and the length and width of it, they can. This one, as opposed to the front, is labeled in metric units. 150 millimeters, which is approximately 6 inches, dot 64, which represents 64 millimeters, approximately 2.5 inches, that would be the diameter, and then 92 newtons. A 92 Newton spring, roughly one can multiply it by 5.8 to get the rate, and this spring is a 525. Notice that it is very, very slightly barrel shaped, yet it is flat and tapered on the top to provide a solid seat. This is an extremely high quality custom made spring for J. Morris at Ground Control and is not available from Eibach directly. This is our upper spring perch, which is located between the camber plate and the top of the spring. Once again, I like to shoot just a little liquid wax on both sides, just to try to eliminate any noise that may otherwise be present. We take our camber plate at this point and install it over the spring, the upper spring set and bushing, and we place a 9/16 washer over top of the camber plate bushings. We then turn it down by hand as far as it will go until it hits the locking portion of the lock nut. Again, it is the lock nut. Notice that it has a slight off-white nylon coating on the inside. That's to keep this down. Hence, this does not require two nuts to secure the top of the shock like some other assemblies do. Using an 11mm box end wrench and a 22mm box end wrench, first place the 22mm box end wrench over the nut, and then grasping the hexagonal head of the shaft itself with the 11mm box head wrench, turn them. These are normal threads, so clockwise is tightening. And tighten these down as much as you can, such that the white surface of the lock nut is gripping all of the thread. Starting with the gold spring perch being even with the bottom of the red anodized spring insert, set an initial ride height. This is not going to be your final ride height because that will be determined by corner weighing. It is just a break-in setting for the damper. So now I have 1 turns, 2 turns, 3 turns, 4 turns, and I'm going to stop at 4.5 turns for this particular rate of spring. And it's really just an arbitrary number, but that will be such that while you're braking in the system, the damper will not cause such a low ride height that you have an issue. And again, using your socket head wrench that J includes in the kit, tighten the socket head bolt on the gold anodized ring just sufficiently that you can't move it with your hands. That's tight enough. You don't have to crank this down, right? Finally, one thing that I want to mention is that you will notice there's some free length in here. This is a necessary, and it's debatable whether it's desirable. There are experts on both sides, but this is normal. Do not worry that you will have this. The car upon rest, and frankly, even when airborne, will not have sufficient time to become fully extended. You'll only hear a clunking when you jack up the car. Okay, this is the bolt girdle assembly or saddle assembly. What it does is it fits underneath, and this is what you see, the heads of these, or rather the bottoms of these bolt heads as it's sticking up and you're looking from inside the car when you literally do adjust the camber. Just dress these a little bit with a little bit of anti-seize prior to inserting them to assure that you get a good torque number, which is critical because these are very fragile and quite often break. If they do break, either your local dealer or Ground Control can provide replacements. Maximum cost would be $5. A lot of the dealers, myself included, will throw these in for free if you break them, provided you bought the system and had the install done by them.